If you thought winter was done with us after this weekend's historic storm across the Carolinas, I have some important news that you absolutely need to hear. The pattern remains loaded with winter weather potential, and we have multiple systems lining up over the next week that could impact tens of millions of people from the Canadian border all the way down to the southeast. We are looking at a parade of storms that will keep the snow flying and potentially deliver another significant punch to areas still digging out from this weekend's mess. For those who remember the legendary winter of 2013, that season featured storm after storm stacking up through January and February with barely any breaks in between. The polar vortex kept delivering Arctic air, and every disturbance that came through had the cold air necessary to produce significant snow even in areas that do not typically see major winter events. This current pattern has that same relentless feel to it. We are locked into a configuration that favors repeated shots of frigid air and multiple storm systems tracking across the country on a regular basis. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now let's move on. So buckle up, because this is going to be an incredibly active week for winter weather across a huge portion of the United States. I am going to break down each system for you, give you the timing, the expected impacts, and specific predictions for every major city in the path of these storms. Let us dive right into it. Starting with Monday and Tuesday, we have a significant winter storm dropping out of Canada that is going to deliver major impacts to Wisconsin and Michigan. This system is riding along the northern branch of the jet stream, tapping into abundant moisture from the Great Lakes, and it is going to bring widespread snow to the entire region. The cold air flooding in behind this system is going to be impressive, and when that frigid Arctic air moves across the relatively warmer waters of Lake Michigan and Lake Superior, we get that classic lake effect enhancement that can pile up snow totals in a hurry. Let me give you the city-by-city breakdown for Wisconsin. Milwaukee is looking at 5 to 8 inches of accumulation, with snow arriving Monday evening and continuing through Tuesday morning. The Monday evening commute is going to be impacted, and Tuesday morning travel will be treacherous across the metro area. Interstate 94 and Interstate 43 will be snow-covered and dangerous. Madison is looking at 5 to 7 inches with snow arriving Monday night. The state capital could see some of the heavier bands set up right over the city, which would push totals toward the higher end. Tuesday morning classes at the University of Wisconsin could be delayed or canceled. Green Bay is in the prime lake effect zone and could see 8 to 12 inches of accumulation. The Packers may have had their season end, but winter is just getting started in Titletown. Appleton and the Fox Valley region are looking at 6 to 9 inches. Now for Michigan, and this state is going to get hammered. Detroit is looking at 5 to 7 inches with snow arriving Monday evening and continuing overnight. The Tuesday morning commute is going to be an absolute nightmare across the metro area. Interstate 75, Interstate 94, and Interstate 96 will all be snow-covered and slippery. Give yourself extra time or work from home if possible. Grand Rapids is in the prime lake effect zone and could see 8 to 12 inches of accumulation. Western Michigan is going to get buried by this system. Kalamazoo is looking at 6 to 8 inches. Lansing is looking at 6 to 8 inches of accumulation. The state capital and Michigan State University could see class cancellations on Tuesday. Flint is in the 5 to 7 inch range. Ann Arbor is looking at 4 to 6 inches, still enough for significant travel disruptions. The Upper Peninsula is going to see extreme totals. Marquette is looking at 12 to 18 inches. Houghton and the Keweenaw Peninsula could approach 2 feet in the most favored lake effect zones. This is classic Upper Peninsula winter, and residents know exactly what to expect. Now here is where it gets interesting for areas further south and east. As that system moves through the Great Lakes on Tuesday, energy is going to eject out ahead of it and develop a secondary low-pressure system that will impact Indiana and Ohio Tuesday evening. This storm is going to track across the heartland and bring significant snow to major population centers across the Ohio Valley. Let me give you the Indiana breakdown. Indianapolis is looking at 4 to 6 inches with snow arriving Tuesday afternoon and intensifying through the evening rush hour. This timing is brutal for commuters. Interstate 465, Interstate 70, and Interstate 65 are all going to see deteriorating conditions right as everyone is trying to get home. What normally takes 30 minutes could easily become a 2-hour ordeal. Fort Wayne is looking at 5 to 7 inches with possible lake effect enhancement on the back end. South Bend is in the lake effect zone and could see 6 to 9 inches as moisture streams off Lake Michigan. Evansville on the southern edge could see 2 to 4 inches. Ohio is going to see widespread impacts from this system. Let me break it down city by city. Columbus is looking at 4 to 6 inches with snow intensifying Tuesday evening and continuing overnight. The Wednesday morning commute is going to be messy across central Ohio. Ohio State University could see class delays. Cleveland is looking at 6 to 10 inches when you factor in lake effect enhancement off Lake Erie. The snowbelt communities east of the city, including Mentor, Painesville, and Ashtabula, could see over a foot of snow. This is going to be a significant event for Northeast Ohio. Cincinnati is on the southern edge and sits in that tricky rain-snow line zone. Right now, it looks like 3 to 5 inches, but if the system tracks further south, those numbers could increase. Dayton is looking at 4 to 6 inches. Toledo is looking at 5 to 8 inches, with lake effect adding to totals. Akron is looking at 5 to 7 inches. Youngstown near the Pennsylvania border could see 6 to 8 inches with lake enhancement. This Ohio Valley storm continues tracking northeast and reaches West Virginia Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. The Mountain State is going to see significant accumulation, particularly in the higher elevations. Charleston is looking at 3 to 5 inches. The capital city sits in a valley, but this system looks strong enough to deliver significant snow even to lower elevations. Morgantown is looking at 5 to 7 inches. West Virginia University students should prepare for possible class delays Wednesday. Huntington on the Ohio River is looking at 4 to 6 inches. Wheeling in the northern panhandle could see 5 to 7 inches. The mountain ski areas, including Snowshoe and Canaan Valley, could see 8 to 12 inches, which is fantastic news for the resorts. Martinsburg and the eastern panhandle are looking at 4 to 6 inches as the storm lifts toward the mid-Atlantic. By Wednesday morning, this storm reaches Virginia and the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. This is where the forecast gets tricky because the exact track determines everything. Let me give you the Virginia and D.C. breakdown. Washington, D.C. is looking at 3 to 5 inches of accumulation. This is more than enough to create absolute chaos across the metro area. The Wednesday morning commute is going to be a disaster. Federal offices will likely delay openings, so watch OPM announcements Tuesday evening. Arlington and Alexandria in northern Virginia are looking at 3 to 5 inches. Fairfax and Loudoun counties could see 4 to 6 inches. The Interstate 66 corridor is going to be treacherous. Baltimore is looking at 4 to 6 inches. The northern suburbs toward the Pennsylvania line could see even higher totals, approaching 7 inches. Interstate 95 and Interstate 83 are going to be dangerous Wednesday morning. Richmond is on the southern edge and could see 2 to 4 inches depending on the exact track. Norfolk and Virginia Beach are looking at 1 to 3 inches from this system. Fredericksburg, between D.C. and Richmond, is looking at 3 to 5 inches. Charlottesville could see 3 to 5 inches as well. Roanoke in the mountains could see 4 to 6 inches. Now let me tell you about what has me really watching the long-range models with serious concern. Friday brings another major winter storm dropping out of Canada, and this one has significant potential. The pattern is setting up for a strong northern stream system to dive southeast and potentially interact with moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. When you get that kind of phasing between northern and southern stream energy, you can get an explosive winter storm. This Friday system could bring significant snow from the Great Lakes through the Ohio Valley and into the Mid-Atlantic. But here is the part that has everyone's attention. Some model guidance suggests this storm could reach as far south as the Carolinas. If that happens, areas still digging out from this weekend could get hit with another significant event. Let me give you preliminary city outlooks for the Friday storm, understanding that these could change significantly as we get closer. For the Great Lakes, Chicago is looking at 4 to 8 inches from the Friday system. Milwaukee could see another 5 to 8 inches on top of what falls Monday and Tuesday. Detroit is looking at 4 to 7 inches. Cleveland could see 6 to 10 inches. For the Ohio Valley, Indianapolis is looking at 4 to 7 inches. Columbus could see 5 to 8 inches. Cincinnati might finally get a bigger event with 4 to 7 inches possible if the track is favorable. For the Mid-Atlantic, Pittsburgh is looking at 6 to 10 inches from the Friday storm. This could be a significant event for western Pennsylvania. Washington, D.C. could see another 3 to 6 inches depending on the track. Baltimore is looking at 4 to 7 inches potentially. Philadelphia is looking at 4 to 8 inches if this system tracks close enough to the coast. New York City is on the edge and could see 3 to 6 inches, but a slight track adjustment changes everything for the city. Now here is the big question mark. The Carolinas. If this Friday storm tracks far enough south and the cold air remains locked in place, Charlotte could see another 4 to 8 inches of snow. Raleigh could see 3 to 7 inches. Greensboro is looking at 3 to 6 inches potentially. Columbia, South Carolina could see 2 to 5 inches if the southern track verifies. Greenville and the upstate could see 4 to 7 inches. Even Atlanta might see another 1 to 3 inches from this system. For areas still recovering from this weekend's historic storm, getting hit again Friday would be remarkable. Charlotte has not seen back-to-back significant snow events like this in over a decade. Raleigh would be dealing with potentially 2 major storms in less than a week. The cold air supporting all of these systems is not going anywhere. We are locked into a pattern that will keep temperatures well below normal across the entire eastern United States through the first full week of February. Every disturbance that comes through has the cold air necessary to produce snow rather than rain. This is the kind of winter pattern that people remember for years. The winter of 2013-2014 featured this same relentless parade of storms, and we appear to be in a similar configuration now. The polar vortex is disrupted, the jet stream is amplified, and cold air keeps flooding south while storms track across the country. For Wisconsin and Michigan, Monday and Tuesday are your primary concern. Prepare now with supplies and adjust your travel plans accordingly. The snow will be heavy and travel will be dangerous. For Indiana and Ohio, Tuesday evening through Wednesday morning is your window. The rush hour timing on Tuesday is particularly bad for Indianapolis and Columbus. Consider leaving work early if possible. For West Virginia, and the D.C. area, Wednesday is your day to watch. This system will disrupt the morning commute significantly. Plan to work from home if you have that flexibility. For everyone from the Great Lakes to the Carolinas, keep your eyes on Friday. That system has major potential, and I will be tracking it closely as the week progresses. By Wednesday or Thursday, we should have much better confidence on the track and impacts. Stock up on supplies now while you can. Make sure you have food, water, medications, and backup heat sources if needed. Check on elderly neighbors and make sure everyone has what they need to ride out what could be multiple rounds of winter weather over the coming week. The comparison to the legendary winter of 2013 is becoming more appropriate by the day. That winter featured repeated storms that kept communities buried for weeks at a time. This pattern has that same potential, and we may be only halfway through what could be a historic stretch of winter weather. I will be providing daily updates as these systems evolve and the forecast becomes clearer. Stay prepared, stay safe, and take these storms seriously. Winter is not done with us yet, not by a long shot. That is going to wrap it up for this update. Take care, everyone, and I will see you in the next one. Stay warm out there.